146. The Florida Department of Health says that's how many deaths by suicide were recorded in 2020 for those ages of 10 to 19.
Yeah, and that number is more than double the suicides among young people a decade ago. Some say more help and resources are needed. And you're watching 10 Tampa Bay at 6. I'm Dave Wagner.
And I'm Carolina Lead. Suicide prevention training has happened in some schools, but we use the word some loosely.
Yeah, we're talking only 1% have become suicide prevention certified. We do want to warn you here that some of what you're about to hear might be difficult.
Tonight, 10 Investigate Jennifer Titus shows us why some are pushing hard to improve that number.
From a little performer to an all-star athlete. 16-year-old McKenna Brown's light shined bright.
She was the light of everybody's life.
Really and truly, she was fearless.
She had that energy and that just energy about her that people gravitated towards.
But just a month shy of her 17th birthday, the Browns' lives would never be the same.
Yeah, so leading up, the week before, there had been some girl drama.
Drama over a boy led to text and online attacks, her mom says, from a group of girls McKenna called her best friends.
McKenna looked at all of the texts and, they tried to cancel her on social media. It was a huge attack on her personally. So they were trying to humiliate her and embarrass her.
It ended up being too much for McKenna.
I saw her on the ground face down and I thought she was asleep, and it looked really uncomfortable, but I just assumed she was asleep. So when I first saw her, I didn't even realize what I was looking at until I went to go, touch her and wake her up and turn her over. And she had already been gone for a couple hours.
The Browns planned a funeral instead of the start of their daughter's senior year at East Lake High in Pinellas County. 10 Investigates learned shortly after McKenna's death, those who went to school with her were disappointed with the handling of her suicide. In emails we obtained through a public records request, one person wrote, "I really believe the school is creating an environment for the kids that is wrong to grieve someone who took their own life." While another writes, "I am so frustrated that suicide is still ignored and viewed as insane," adding, "If you haven't realized it yet, suicide is real and is happening right in front of our eyes." But the most striking one of all came from the interim principal at the time, mentioning that in the past 5 to 6 years, there's been 5 suicides involving students at the school.
Were you surprised that there were other suicides over the past couple of years at this school?
I was shocked, and especially to learn that 2 years ago when McKenna was at East Lake High School, that it happened while she was there. And instead of, talking about it, making it known, and they swept it under the rug, that would have been a conversation that we could have had with McKenna. I mean, that's pretty devastating and traumatic to happen as a high school kid.
According to the latest statistics from the Florida Department of Health, suicides among young people hit an all-time high in 2020. The latest data showing there were 146 suicides among those 10 to 19 in 2020 alone.
The numbers aren't going down in our schools.
No. And I believe it's the second leading cause of death for our youth, nationally too. So we need to be doing more.
A teacher herself, Hannah Hayes, lost her dad to suicide.
He was 46 when he passed.
She is now the board chair of the local chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
We didn't realize that he also had a mental health condition that was preventing him from going through those regular life changes that someone without a mental health condition would be able to do just fine. And when we think about teenagers and their brains aren't fully developed, they don't know how to navigate through certain life changes and crisis to them. And I just think in general we have to know what to look for.
Suicide is a major public health issue and it must be addressed.
It's why Hannah went to Tallahassee in 2016 to push for mandatory training in Florida schools for suicide prevention. The bill passed, but after the word mandatory was changed to voluntary. In the years since, only 40 out of 4,200 schools have become a suicide prevention certified school. That's not even 1% of all schools in the state. Pinellas County is the only county in the Bay Area with schools that have been certified. Eastlake High is not one of them.
Would you say there needs to be more?
Yes, I think it should be mandated. I think all schools in the state of Florida should have it mandated where schools are certified for suicide prevention.
10 Investigates has learned that 14 states have laws in place that make suicide prevention training for their teachers mandatory every single year. 22 states and the District of Columbia make teachers take the training at least once, while 12 states, including Florida, make the training voluntary.
Wow.
It's something Senator Ed Hooper says he's now looking into after we brought him our findings.
Do you think more needs to be done within our schools?
Absolutely. Based on your input to me and obviously today's interview, I've reached out to the Commissioner of Education to try to get a meeting next week let's talk about this.
Do you feel like that is something that should become mandatory in the state of Florida?
Absolutely. It's only getting worse. I mean, it's becoming more prevalent, very sadly.
For the Browns,
She felt so loved and safe at home, and she's home, and we're happy to have her home.
while McKenna may no longer be here, in a way, McKenna's helping spirit will still be if more help for students is brought into schools.
Her legacy will live on, and her memory will always live on, and she'll always be a part of us. We will never forget her. She's unforgettable.
And to see exactly what it takes for a school to become suicide prevention certified, just visit this story on our website, 10tampabay.com. There you will also find resources for help if you or someone you know has thoughts about suicide, as well as a free course called Mental Health First Aid, designed to help adults recognize signs and symptoms of kids' mental health conditions. Jennifer Titus, 10 Investigates.